I challenge you to figure out your social comfort zone. In the next stage of your life, people might ask you to study at the library. They might invite you for a chat, for a cup of coffee. They might even invite you to a social gathering in which there is sarsaparilla served, as well as suggestive dancing. Now, I encourage you to accept these offers, but at the same time, know that at the end of the night, look back and say, did I enjoy myself? And if you didn't, next time say no. It's okay to be alone on a Friday night. You can ask Mr. O'Connell. Now, I challenge you to seek out Aristotle's golden mean. Aristotle once taught that there is danger in extremes. Your first quarter, don't work too hard, but at the same time, don't be a flake. Avoid long-distance relationships. At the same time, avoid the psychotically insecure significant other who needs to spend 8 hours a day with you. You can learn from Jay Gatsby, who taught you that wealth isn't everything, but the Jodes taught you that poverty isn't a hoot either. You need to find balance in your life. I challenge you to learn quickly that you're not your resumes. You're not your college application. You're not that little bumper sticker on the back of your car if you can ever pass a driver's ed test. You have so many of you defined yourself by your clubs, your service organizations, your quantity of AP exams. That's not who you are. And the sooner you can break out of this cycle, the sooner you can begin living your life instead of just performing it. Now here's a little scenario that will play off in colleges across the country in the coming months. You've all loved these 2 questions you've had recently. So, what college are you going to? Followed by the lovely, what are you doing this summer? Well, they get very, very unique when you go to college. The next questions become, so what's your major and where are you from? Now, after the Singapore one is going to get you a conversation, but at the same time, you're going to have to probably deal with some lovely joke about, oh, so you must have been caned for chewing gum because you warded off a terrorist attack from a SARS carrier. And now, after this point, there's going to be a pause in the conversation. You've got a couple choices. You can either A, say, you know, what kind of vegetables don't you like? Or you can always regurgitate your resume, which I really recommend. Why don't you quote your GPA to the 1,000th decimal point or list the 187 activities underneath your yearbook picture? That'll be a good idea. You'll learn real quick that no one really cares about your resume. I challenge you to pronunciate first. I challenge you to smile often. Many of you are funny looking. But fortunately, a sincere smile and a positive attitude can make up for improperly placed facial features. I challenge you to be a rebel and be the first generation to actually listen to their parents, or at least listen to your elders. It is one of the bizarre ironies of life that at the exact moment you most need to listen to advice, you think you know everything. Don't underestimate the importance of experience. When someone from the receding hair generation offers a point of consideration, you must fight the urge to shrug your shoulders, roll your eyes, and journey off to happy land. You need to know that human nature hasn't changed that much since those first days in the Tigris and Euphrates River. The people who've been around the block are usually the best ones to ask for directions. Oh. I challenge you to learn that old adage, sticks and stones may break my bones, but knaves will never hurt me, is a fabricated load of garbage. You need to realize the power of your words. They have the power to scar and the power to uplift. All of us here have this memory of a student from a classroom past who felt the need to share with us some lovely little nugget of honesty. My favorite, 1985, Jennifer Gardner, Bird Legs Burnett. Now, fortunately, I have a supportive wife and quality therapy, so I'm okay with that. But for you, as you get older, understand that the situations will become more severe and your command of the English language will become deadly. You've got to choose your words wisely, and at the same time, develop what I like to call an edit reflex. Every thought that enters your brain does not need to exit your mouth. I challenge you to question why you dislike people. A few generations back, a witty man named Confucius said, when we see men of a contrary character, we should turn inwards and examine ourselves. Use the faults of other people as a mirror to kind of see your own faults. I challenge you to realize that the attainment of goals should guide you but not consume you. At some point, know that happiness as an adult will not be defined by the mere attainment of goals. Many of us here have played this lovely game, and myself included, of I will be happy when, ... or I will be successful when, ... And then we achieve that goal, and we then make a new goal. The problem is that doesn't work in adulthood because your friends, your spouse, your children are not going to judge you based on quantitative information. Instead, you have to realize that your children are not going to grade you, your friends are not going to give you an annual review, and your wife is not going to give you a certificate of achievement, though some of us men actually know we deserve one. You need to realize that all these people want of you is they'll want your time. They'll want you to treasure the journey and not simply always be thinking about, gosh, where's the destination? I challenge you to learn the art of keeping silent. When people talk, listen. Know that you will never learn anything if you're the one doing the talking. I challenge you to ask for help when you need it. I challenge you to expand your definition of friendship. To this point, you've been limited to really a small group. Many of you yesterday said, wow, I don't know 187 people here. But realize that once you go to college, all those rules change. You might become friends with a professor. You might actually talk to your boss and enjoy that. You might even like someone from Wisconsin. You need to be open to friendships in the oddest of places. I challenge you to avoid gripe sessions. When I was a freshman in college, I worked at an elementary school, and the teacher and I were talking. I was whining about something, and she said, you know what? If you were sitting at a fire with a lot of people around the world throwing your problems into the fire, you would be so embarrassed at the triviality of yours that you'd be the first one to reach in and pull yours out. Now, back then, I didn't have this extremely superb figurative language skills that I have today, but I know what she meant. What she was saying is that whining can be contagious. It can be very attractive. You might find yourself enjoying these whining sessions, but you have perspective. You know true poverty. You know strife. You know suffering. So you need to really fight the urge to journey to the land of melodrama where your daily roadblocks you blow up into these monumental issues. I challenge you next to give yourself options. The further you go in school, the more options you will have later. Don't handicap your future by goofing off. And finally, I'd like to leave you not with a challenge, but a few requests. If you can look for a moment out at your teachers. We've spent years with you. For many, you become our second families, our extended families. We don't really have the nieces and nephews. We don't have the aunts and uncles. So you become that for us. And yet we have this cycle every year in which we meet you, we get close to you, and then we say goodbye. And unlike your friends and your family, we often have no idea what happens next. So we get so close, and then that's it. Our lives aren't going to change that much. Next year in U.S. history, I'm going back to 1492 for the 8th time. In Western Civ, I'm talking about some hairy hominid named Lucy. And in American Lit, there's a good chance I'm talking about Hester and this annoying little letter on her chest. But know that we would love to hear from you. So just think about it if you're bored and you're at home on a Friday night alone, to feel free to send us an email what's going on. And finally, if you can kind of look through the lights at this point and kind of try to find your parents. Because these next few months are going to be extremely emotional for them. All you're thinking about is jumping into adulthood, but all they're seeing is their baby leaving the house. You see, you spoiled them those first few years. You gave them a first smile. After about 6 weeks, you then walked for the first time. They got to bathe you and watch that cute little tushy. They were excited that first time you sang Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, and then you finally said that first letter. And there was a time when your parents got so much joy from just throwing you on top of the bed and seeing how many different ways they could make you giggle. And know that years ago, your parents made this exact same journey to these wide open spaces, and it scares them because they're afraid of what might happen to your relationship. They're afraid that it might become brief contacts during summers, maybe a meal or two during the holidays, or a few random phone calls when you need money. And this scares them. So you have to promise me something. Promise me the next couple months you'll stay a little bit longer at the dinner table. Put off your friends a little bit. Promise your parents you'll call them 4 times a day. But promise me that when your mom hugs you, when she holds you like you once clutched her 13 years ago, that you make sure that she's the one to pull away first. And to the class of 2004, I want to thank you for this honor. Because the moment I step off this stage, you'll have given me a memory I'll never forget. Congratulations, I'll miss you.